Dothan's federal building and courthouse has undergone some improvements a little under a year after its closure scare. The Middle District of Alabama hosted a convocation celebrating this milestone and the successful preservation of a vital part of Dothan history. Last year, the courthouse was among those listed for closure on the government website as part of the Department of Justice spending cuts, only for the post to be removed. Since then, the federal building, which first opened in 1911, has undergone a few necessary changes, including new technology and improved acoustics. As Chief Judge Emily Marks of the Middle District prepares to end her tenure this Sunday, she's proud of the work that's been done.
I always say you want to leave things better than you found it, and I wanted to ensure that this courthouse that is so important to us, we could kind of wrap up this new rehabilitated facility. So it was great to hear that we have some additional funding coming to make even more improvements, and the next Chief Judge I know is going to handle that beautifully, and I'm just really excited for the future.
Mark's successor is Judge Austin Hoffaker.